Professor in the Department of Education, Madam Shinamati, Dr. P.K. Sir, who is working as a faculty in Autonomous College, College University. Professor Ganga Kumar Rao, Director of Education, Department of Botany, Senior Faculty at IJIT. Professor Semi Muhammad, Professor Dinesh Kumar, and my teaching faculty in the Department of Education as well as Department of Physical Education and Department of Performing Arts. Student friends, welcome all once again to this Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya Memorial Lecture. Honorable Vice Chancellor has taken initiation as he assumed the charge as a visiting of Vice Chancellor. Each and every department is going to be conducting a memorial lecture in the name of a prestigious academician who is served a most level of his service to the cause of education. Myself and Professor Rao sir has together and we finalized. As all of you we know that Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya, one of the renowned educationist and social reformer as well as the social panelist, he himself dedicated his throughout life for the cause of education and promoted the education of the country, and he built his own financial sector. And good academicians were served to give their service and upliftment of the downtrodden people level of education in this country. So, after gone through these aspects, we find that the Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya is the right person who is going on his name. We are conducting this memorial lecture. This is the backdrop of this lecture. And different departments also conducting different types of programs. And to whom you are going to be inviting for this prestigious lecture. Then we together finalized and we asked Professor Vinapati sir by Professor Raut sir. Sir has readily accepted it. It is a very good for us because even his busy schedule, the former director is picked for this proposed lecture, as well as the sir is did a lot of work in the area of teacher education as well as development across the initiation of NEP 2020 as well as its implications, because he is take the charge as a director. The NEP 2020 is a flagship program by the government. Sir has taken a challenge and he implemented at school levels and even our teacher education departments. I thank you, sir, for your esteemed leadership for this NEP 2020 and you today were present. Coming to this lecture, what are the topics we have to be decided? Because NEP 2020 is a large sector. Under that, only with the point, para number 15 is speaks about the teacher education majorly. So in this, it may be 3 pages, but lots of information was there, and lots of things are come across in our country. So welcome, sir, Professor Raghunathan, Department of Please, sir, that's why when we asked Sir, Sir has said that I will touch the every point like curriculum as well as pedagogical strategies and how the assessment is changing the rate of NEP. So that's why today's our lecture is the implication of NEP 2020 for curriculum pedagogy. So with this brief introduction, I welcome you all once again.
Now, I request Professor Ganadhar Rao sir to kindly welcome Senapati sir by offering a bouquet at a small moment. Bye. Thank you. Now I request Shikha Madam to kindly welcome SP Madam by offering bouquet, memento and shawl. Now I request Professor Shamim sir to kindly offer a bouquet to and welcome our Dean, Professor Ganadhar Kumar Rao. Thank you, sir. Now I call Professor Dinesh sir to come on the stage and welcome Professor M.T.V. Nagaraj, head of the department. Thank you. Now, I request Professor Shamim Ahmad to introduce our esteemed chief guest.
Indeed, to have expert speakers, indeed, to have expert speakers for pedagogy curriculum. Process Senapati is a professor of education at RI Bhubaneswar and possesses over more than 30 years of experience in teaching, research, development, especially field of school education and teacher education. He has contributed significantly in the field of teacher education, teacher professional development, NIShtha, that is National Initiative for School Heads and Teachers, Holistic Advancement. His expertise on teacher education covers both pre-service as well as in-service teacher education program. During his tenure,
As director of NCRT, he has also facilitated international collaboration and MOUs with many foreign countries, including United States of America, Finland, Australia, South Korea, Mauritius, Germany, Bhutan, and so on. Professor Senapati has also been awarded honorary degree, honoris causa degree from Ravencha University, Odisha. Professor Senapati has completed good number of research projects and contribution to his colleagues, national and international, in the field of constructivist pedagogy, ICT, uh, developed a number of training modules which are very popular in the field of education throughout the country. Professor Senapati has academic visit to many foreign countries such as Norway, Thailand, China, Switzerland, Malaysia, Taiwan, South Korea, Japan, Germany, Australia, Russia, Finland, and many other countries. So, in addition to these, Professor Senapati is a prolific writer as well as a very good orator. In addition to being a very humane teacher in the field of teaching. So, to this function.
Event, lecture, I request Sina sir to please deliver the lecture, please.
Namaskar. Very good morning. Uh, Respected Head, Department of Education, Professor Nagaraju, Dean, Professor Gyanendra Kumar Raut, all the dignitaries, distinguished guests and faculty from Faculty of Education and other departments, my dear students. I'm really very happy to be here on this day to deliver the memorial lecture. At the outset, I would like to pay my homage to Pandit Madan Mohan for his significant contribution to education and social work. He's a great personality. I'm going to deliver this lecture. This is one of the memorial lecture. And my topic is on this National Policy on Education 2020. I would like to highlight and assessment. This is my second visit to this university. I visited this university in the year, I remember 13 or 14, 2013 or 14, to develop this integrated curriculum, that is for BCBA and BA curriculum. And the current Vice Chancellor was coordinating that program, Professor Tripathi. He had invited, and at that time I was Narai Gopal, I was heading that institute as principal. I came with my team and we stayed here for about 4 or 5 days and we developed that curriculum. And I remember that was a nice experience. And this is my second visit. And today I'd like to highlight what is this policy. I'll give some historical background, vision of this policy. Then what are the major recommendations so far as the structure, and then I will come to the curriculum, pedagogy and assessment, and highlight the implication both for school education as well as higher education. Because this NEP is not something new, because we have completed more than 4 years. It was released on 29 July 2020. And now we are in the process of implementing the recommendation of NEP 2020, both in school education and higher education. And if you look at the vision of this policy, it is something different. And before that, I would like to give you the background, because we all know this is third policy, this is not first policy, because we had the first policy in the year 1968 after the recommendation of Kothari Commission, because the recommendation are very the first policy after independence in the year 1968, national policy on education. Then second policy in the year 1960, of course, commission. Then secondary education commission. Then national education commission, Kothari commission. And normally to implement the recommendation of policy, we come out with national curriculum framework for school education. That you all know. That the first national curriculum framework was developed in the year 1975. Third one in 2000, fourth one in 2005. And as per the recommendation of this policy, we are going to come out with 4 national curriculum framework. And already 2 national curriculum framework have already been released. That is national curriculum framework for foundation stage, that was released in October 2020. And national curriculum framework for school education, that was released in August 2023. 2 more, one on teacher education and one on adult education, that is, they are in pipeline. Similarly, in the field of higher education, UGC has taken a lot of initiatives to implement the recommendation of this NEP 2020, particularly the curricular reform. We are now talking about outcome-based curriculum, and we have come out with this National Credit Framework 2023, and many other steps is taken to implement the recommendation in the field of higher education, because we have to make all our higher education institutions multidisciplinary by 2040. So that is the target for us. In this context, if you look at the vision, what is the vision of this policy? Because this is in one paragraph that you clearly mentioned that this NEP 2020 has envisioned a system of education rooted in Indian ethos. And before that, I would like to, because this policy took more than 5 years, because you know the deliberation took place for a longer period. I think 2014, I remember at that time I was principal in Bhopal. And then it continued till 2020. And NCERT responsibility was school education. We conducted 63 deliberations all over the country just to get feedback from the different stakeholders, students, teachers, parents, community members. And we submitted that report to the committee formulated for this purpose. And they also examined, and accordingly they have taken some of the suggestions. Then in this policy, it has been clearly mentioned that this policy envisions a system of education rooted in Indian ethos, which will directly contribute in transforming India into an equitable, vibrant knowledge society. As a result of which India will become a knowledge superpower. This has been clearly mentioned in the vision of this policy. What exactly we want? We want a system of education rooted in Indian ethos. What does it mean? It means our culture, our tradition, our value system should be integrated into our curriculum and pedagogy, so that we can connect our children to their roots. Our students will understand their culture, their tradition, and they will behave accordingly. That will bring about change in their mindset. Because in our culture is very rich, we all know, we believe in Vasudeva Kutumbakam, Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina. We always think for others. And since we think of others, and from the ancient days we have been propagating this Vasudeva Kutumbakam, that means whole world is one family. And that should be integrated into our curriculum, pedagogy, so that our students will take advantage of this. And the second thing, what has been highlighted in this policy that has been reflected. From the vision, it is clear. That means our curriculum and pedagogy will be integrated. That means Indian ethos will be integrated into curriculum and pedagogy. Our curriculum and pedagogy must develop a deep sense of respect towards fundamental duties and constitutional values. That is more important. We all know what we are doing. We are teaching what is there in our syllabus, in our curriculum, in our textbooks. And we are expecting our students to acquire mastery over that knowledge, what is there in the syllabus, what is there in the textbook. And that will help them to secure good mark in exam. The focus is on content mastery. Focus is on content mastery. But if you look at the vision, it is talking about fundamental duties. When we say content mastery, it is related to cognitive domain. Because we have 3 domains of personality. And now we are talking about holistic development. And what we are doing, that is helping our children or our students to develop only one aspect of the personality, one dimension of the personality, that is the cognitive domain. But we have neglected the affective domain, psychomotor domain. And that is why it has been highlighted in the policy, in the vision, it is clear that time has come, our curriculum and pedagogy must develop a deep sense of respect towards fundamental duties. It is not related to cognitive domain. It is related to affective domain. We should feel for others. We should make our children conscious of the duties and responsibilities, not only the rights, we fight for the rights. Students should be conscious of their duties and responsibilities so that they will feel for others. That is most important thing that has been reflected in the vision of the policy that should be integrated into our curriculum and pedagogy. The number 3, we are talking about global citizenship. Now we are living in a world, we know what is happening around us. It may be Russia, Ukraine, it may be Bangladesh, it may be Israel, Lebanon. What is happening we all know. But in this 21st century, we have to develop not only a very positive attitude among the students to become good citizen, but also to become global citizen, so that they will feel for others what is happening in other countries. And if you see the vision of this policy, clearly it has been mentioned that means we have to develop values, disposition, and we have to bring about change in their attitude, so that they will develop commitment towards human rights, towards sustainable development, and towards global citizenship. So all these have been reflected in the vision of the policy. When we talk about the vision, it is not only for school education, it is for entire system of education. This is the vision of policy. That means we have to develop a system rooted in Indian ethos, which will transform our country into a developed country, or it will make our country a knowledge superpower. The developed country 2047, India will be a developed country. That is the slogan our Honorable Prime Minister has given, and we are trying our best to achieve that goal. And that we can achieve through quality education, by providing high quality education to our children, by connecting them to their roots. And to achieve this NAP has recommended 15 years of schooling, that we all know. 15 years of schooling. Currently we have 12 years of schooling. Why NAP has recommended 15 years of schooling? 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. Now we have 10 plus 2 pattern. Our children are coming to school at the age of 5. Now we say they will be coming at the age of 6. And that class 1, they will join class 1. But 3 years preschooling is going to be integrated with class 1 and 2. And if you see the policy, that most of the focus is on this stage. Now time has come, we have to make the foundation strong. If foundation is strong, then our students will not face any problem in future. And we have to make the foundation strong. We have to develop their literacy and numeracy skills. Now that is why lot of focus on FLN. And now, as per the recommendation of this NEP 2020, Government of India has set up a commission that is known as Nipun Bharat, just to take care of this literacy and numeracy. That is the most important thing. That is the, and when we are talking about this, that means our vision is not to confine everything to this literacy and numeracy. We have to go beyond that. because holistic development. And that we are taking care, that means from the beginning, that means when our students will come to school at the age of 3, we have to take care of their holistic development. Not that just we will be teaching them alphabets, the number. So that is not going to serve the purpose. We have to take care of their holistic development from the beginning. That is why NLP is putting a lot of emphasis on cognitive development, no doubt, along with cognitive, physical development, social development, emotional development, ethical development from the beginning, so that their foundation will be strong, there will be holistic development. If you look at the curriculum, that means it will be not confined to literacy and numeracy, only not that they will be knowing the number and alphabet, they will develop literacy and numeracy skills, they will develop the potentialities what they have in a holistic way, in a holistic way. Because what is the okay, thank you. So this is not the only reason that we are only thinking of their holistic development, but why? Why it is 5 years? You will find that logically that maximum brain development takes place during this period. What research says that you are students of education, you know what research says. Around 95% of brain development takes place during this early stage. You think of the children who are coming from the tribal area, this was tribal university. And think of children who are coming from rural areas, from villages, from geographically remote areas. We have children that over children with special needs, the Divyang children, children coming from very low socioeconomic status. You think of the background, what is their family background, and what type of society they are living, and what we are providing to these children. Because we all know that maximum brain development takes place during this period. That is why now time has come. If really we want to make our country a developed country, we want to make our country a knowledge superpower, then we have to take care of our children at the early stage. Because maximum brain development takes place during this period. And we have to provide quality education to these children. That is why 3 years of preschool will be integrated with class 1 and 2. And in rural areas, Anganwadis are there, in urban areas, or we have preschools. But now these Anganwadis will be strengthened as per the recommendation of NAP, along with this health and nutrition, that we have to take care of their education. So that is the recommendation of policy. That means we are going to make the foundation very strong, so that the high quality of higher education will be better. If we can develop the literacy, numeracy skills, if we can develop the potentiality from a holistic perspective from the beginning, then our students will not leave school. They will enjoy their learning. They will get opportunity to develop their unique potentialities. And ultimately, they will be good citizen, good human being, and global citizen. And our quality of higher education will be better. That is why it has been clearly mentioned, even our higher education system should also contribute in strengthening the quality of school education. This is also one of the recommendation of this NAT 2020. So this is the most important thing, that is foundational literacy, numeracy is most important for us. But in this context, I would like to highlight what research says. If you see, many international studies have been conducted and it has been found that Indian students excel in books. Why application beyond textbook, Indian students are not performing well. This is the findings of many international studies. Why it is so? Do you think that our children are not having intelligence? They are not competent? They are competent, they are having the intelligence, but there is something wrong in our classroom process. And I highlighted from the beginning that our focus, what is our focus as a teacher? Our focus is how to cover the syllabus. We don't want to go beyond the syllabus. And our students are confined to the content what is there in the textbook. So they have to mastery over the content, secure good mark in the exam. That is why in board exam now all the students are securing 90%, 80%, some students are securing 100%, more than 70%. But when we conduct national achievement survey and it is found that average score is only 38, all India score. In 21 survey that was conducted, that in NCRT you know conduct this achievement survey every 3 years. In 2017 we conducted the survey based on learning outcome. Then 2021, that's the second time. 2024 it has been conducted. We are waiting for the result. But the average score is 38, in board exam. Students are securing more than 80%, more than 70%. Why they are securing less than 40%? When we are conducting this national achievement survey, measuring their competencies, measuring their skills, that is, you see that means there is a wide gap. This shows there is something wrong in our classroom process. It is not only in school education. The same thing also in higher education. Most of our graduates are not employable. That means they don't have the required skills and competency to get the employment. Employers are not willing to take. Why? They are getting degree. Our students are securing good mark, but they don't have the age appropriate and stage appropriate skills and competencies. That is most important thing we should understand as a teacher. As student of education, you should know this. Because we have students, they are coming to school, they are coming to college, they are coming to university, but they don't have required skills and competencies. What is required, they don't have that. That is why we are facing problem. That is why we are not participating in PISA. You know PISA, international, the program of evaluation that we conduct internationally. We participated in 2009 and the result came in 11. Tamil Nadu, Himachal participated. Our position was last but one out of 73 or 74 countries. After that, we are not participating. So this is clear. That is something wrong. What we are doing our best. We are the best teachers. And what we are doing is transacting what is there in the textbook, what is there in the syllabus, and helping students to secure good mark in exam. But that is not going to help our students in 21st century. They have to develop 21st century learning skills if they have to adjust effectively in the changing scenario. That is why now our focus has been shifted from content mastery to competency mastery, and that has been clearly reflected in AP 2020. That is why from foundational stage we are making it holistic. We want to give them exposure to different type of learning situation so that they will develop their potentiality not only in the cognitive domain but in the affective and psychomotor domain. They will manipulate, they will experience, they will create something so that they will acquire the skills and they will develop their potentiality. That we are doing in the foundation. Similarly, when they will be coming to preparatory stage, class 3, 4, 5, we'll find there is a paradigm shift in our approach, pedagogical approach. What that means? They are not going to be passive listeners. They will be active learners. They will participate in different activities. We have to provide them opportunity to exhibit their talents. We have to develop self-confidence among the students. We have to develop their self-esteem. We have to make them emotionally stable, and we have to make them physically, morally strong, so that they can contribute significantly. That is why there is a need of bringing about change in our pedagogical approach, more participation, more sharing, more collaboration, more activities. Because what research says, if there is more social interaction, then there is better learning. This is the research finding. If there is more social interaction, then there is better learning. So what we should do? What is the implication? We should not ask our students to sit silently and go on listening to us. Let them ask, let them observe, let them work in a group, let them collaborate, let them share their experiences, let them present what they have learned. That will help them to exhibit their talents. And this will bring about change in our classroom process reform need. So that is essential, and that we have to start from the beginning, from the foundation and the preparatory stage. Then when students will be coming to middle stage, you know, class 6, 7, 8, what are the expectations? What they are learning now? In middle stage, we are teaching them 4 subjects, language, maybe 2, 3 language, then mathematics, science, social science. 4 subjects areas are there. But as per the recommendation of this NEP 2020, we are going to add 3 more subjects like mathematics, science, vocational education, physical education, and art. Total 4 plus 3. This will be mandatory. Why it will be mandatory? What is the, why NEP has recommended this? Now NCB has prepared and we have already come out with the textbooks. And why it is going to be mandatory? Because we have to develop holistic personality of our children. We cannot ignore physical education. We cannot ignore vocational education. We cannot ignore art because that is essential for holistic development of the personality. That is why we are going to make it mandatory from class 6 onwards. We are going to make it mandatory and vocational, particularly vocational education is going to be mandatory for everybody. Now we look down vocational education in our country. Vocational education is looked down. India is going to be the youngest country in the world. That you know. We have large number of youth in our country. Next decade, we are going to be the youngest country in the world. We have to take advantage of this demographic dividend. And that is why there is a need of providing them quality education, which will help them in the development of their competencies and skills, particularly their unique potentiality. Every child is unique. And vocational education is going to be mandatory. Now we have separate stream for vocational education. Who go for vocational education? Have you gone through vocational education? Any of you? No. Who are going for vocational education now? That means who are sitting in this hall, you are not exposed to vocational education. Why you are not exposed to vocational education? Because you are good students. You are good students. You are doing well. Academically, you are performing well. That is why you are here. But you have not gone through this vocational education. That means who are going? That those who are not performing well, those who are coming from poor family, those who are coming from very low socioeconomic status, and we have a separate stream for vocational education, and that is we look down vocational education in our country. That is why we are a developing country. India is a developing country because we look down vocational education. This is not there. When Britishers came, they wanted to damage our cottage industry, and the purpose was different. But this vocational education is an integral part. It was an integral part. It was an integral part of education. And in other countries, it is an integral part of the education. That is why NEP has recommended every student has to acquire mastery over vocational education before completion of school education. Before completion of school education, every student has to acquire mastery over vocational, at least one vocation. So that is the recommendation. Because what we are doing, we are spending very less. And only 5%, as per the NEP data, only 5% of students joining the formal workforce, 5% joining the formal work through formal vocational education. Workforce through formal vocational in India. In South Korea, it is 96%. In Germany, it is 75%. In USA, it is 52%. In India, only 5%. Because we look down vocational education. And if you take the example, Korea, it is highest. And economically, if you see, Korea was a developing country in the year 1947. It was under Japan and we are under British. And same time we became independent. Both the economic condition of both the countries are same. And now Korea is a developed country, India is a developing country, huge country, and we are proud of, and we have natural resources, everything we have, but we are still a developing country. And our slogan is to make our country a developed country by 2047. Korea is a developing country, all Korean products we are using, it is a very small country. And their focus is more on vocational education. Focus is more on skill and competencies. And This is more on theory, less practical. Even we have vocational stream, that means they are with theory. They don't have the required skills. That is why they are not getting job. So that this is the scenario. It is not only vocational education, the physical education is also neglected. Because sometimes we try to teach other subjects during gap period. That happens because we have to cover the syllabus. And art, everything that is neglected. That is why NEP has taken cognizance of this fact. This is going to be mandatory, and every student has to acquire mastery over all these. Another most important thing that is applicable for school education and higher education. When you are talking about the curriculum, now we are talking about multidisciplinary curriculum. We are implementing in university, colleges, we are implementing this multidisciplinary approach. But this we have to start from the beginning, from the school stage. That is most interesting that you will find. It has been clearly recommended in this policy that during the middle stage, when our students are coming to middle stage, not only they will have the discipline knowledge that means different discipline knowledge we are starting from middle school. And along with that, they will understand what is the interrelationship among the subjects. That means we are starting this multidisciplinary approach from middle stage. Not that we will start at the higher education. We are starting from middle stage. Not only they will know mathematics, science, social science, vocational education, they will understand what is the interrelationship among the subjects. So that is why we are starting this multidisciplinary approach from interdisciplinary approach from middle stage. So that will continue. So that our foundation will be strong. Then when our students will be coming to secondary stage, that we don't say senior secondary. NEP is not talking about senior secondary. Of course, it is talking about now 2 stages because it may take some time, but there will be one stage, that is secondary stage, class 9, 10, 11 and 12. And what will be there? There will be more flexibility. That means our students will have the freedom to select subject of their choice from during this secondary stage. Secondary stage we will give them more freedom. That is why if you see the guiding principle of this NEP 2020, it has been clearly mentioned there will be no hard separation, that between curricular and co-curricular, between science and arts, between vocational and general education. There will be no hard separation between curricular and co-curricular. What does it mean? Curricular means more important, co-curricular means less important, extracurricular is still less important. And similarly, there will be no hard separation between science and arts, no hard separation between vocational and general. So why? Because our focus is on holistic development. Extracurricular, co-curricular and curricular, all these contribute significantly in holistic development of the personality. It is not that only curricular will help holistic development. No. That is why there will be no hard separation. We have to give due weightage to co-curricular and extracurricular. All are integral part of our curriculum. There will be no hard separation. This is the most important thing that we should understand. Similarly, no hard separation between vocational and education. We are starting from class 6 onwards, but there will be provision for vertical mobility and there will be no hard separation between vocational, this is vocational, we will look down. This is general, this is more important. No. Vocational education will be an integral part of general education. Every student has to acquire mastery over at least one vocation before completion of school education. And there will be a lot of flexibility because now this watertight compartment, this is art, this is science, so that will not be there. That means what we are going to do, we are going to give multiple intelligence. Everybody is having it in degree. Some students are having more logical, mathematical intelligence, they are excelling in academics. Some students are having more kinesthetic intelligence, they are excelling in sports. Some students are having more musical intelligence. Some students are having more interpersonal intelligence, they are excelling in the field of that leader, they are becoming good leaders. So everybody is having different types of intelligence. And in our school system and our university system, what we should do? We should encourage everything. It is not that only we should encourage logical mathematical knowledge in our classroom. We should give opportunity to our students to develop their unique potentialities. And that they, whatever intelligence, what that they have different types as per their interest, as per their choice, as per their ability. If we provide them education, definitely they will learn in very effectively and contribute secondary subject of their choice. That is why what we are doing I will discuss that later. But that means when we are assessing our students, what we are assessing? We are assessing their cognitive behavior mostly by administering tests. But now we are talking about other techniques. And what we are doing? We are trying following deficit model. That is a model that we follow in traditional approach, that we want to know what are the weakness of our students, what they do not know, what they cannot do, in which area they are weak. We find out their weakness and we give them some remedial measures so that they can acquire mastery over that and secure good mark in exam. That we are doing, that's a traditional practice. But now, as per the modern theory, we are talking about strength model. Don't find out their weakness, find out the strength. One is weak in mathematics, and should not give the label, you do not know anything, you are dull, you cannot do anything. That means that will affect the self-esteem and self-confidence. Rather, we should try to find out in which area that particular child is strong. Maybe in sports, maybe in music, maybe in creative writing, maybe in some other areas. So that we have to identify from the beginning. Accordingly, we have to provide them the opportunity to develop the potentiality, so that we can bring out a lot of change in the secondary stage, lot of flexibility, and that is why we call it secondary. From class 9 onwards, they will get the opportunity to select a subject of their choice. That will be there, and a lot of flexibility. Then, what type of curriculum we are going to have for this purpose? Now we are talking in, if you go through NEP, you will find it clearly mentioned that we have to make our curriculum competency based. You must have gone through the document, competency based. Our examination will be competency based. What is this competency based? When it will be competency, what type of one? In higher education, we are talking about outcome based curriculum. Outcome based curriculum. And when we are talking about assessment, criterion based assessment, what does it mean? And what type of curriculum we have now? We have the curriculum which is mostly content. Because when we design curriculum, we see the content, whether content is good or not, what is the quality of the content. If the quality is good, then we put it in our curriculum, in our syllabus. But we don't take into account so what type of skills and competencies this particular content is going to develop among the students. That is why when it will be competency based, when it will be outcome based, then we have to develop a different type of curriculum. First, we have to identify the skills and competency what we expect our student to attain. If we can identify that in the beginning, before designing the curriculum, keeping in view the skills and competency, we identify the content, then our curriculum will be outcome based, our curriculum will be competency based, so that our focus will be on the development of competencies. Now all the time we are talking about 21st century learning skills. What is this? We want our students to develop critical thinking. We want our students to develop collaboration. Our students to develop their creativity. Our students to develop their communication. 4 C's. And when we are taking about the critical thinking, the problem solving ability, other things, it will take care of that. When we are talking about this collaboration, cooperation, because in a democratic country, we have to develop the spirit of collaboration among the students, not competition. We are encouraging competition inside the classroom, we should encourage collaboration, cooperation. Because for the effective functioning of democracy, we have to develop the spirit of collaboration, spirit of cooperation. So that is why in 21st century, we have to develop critical thinking, we have to develop collaboration, cooperation, we have to develop their creativity, we have to develop their divergent thinking. Let them think differently, let them solve problem in different ways, that there is no fixed answer, that should not be any fixed answer, that may be many answers, many methods that they may follow, that should help them to develop divergent thinking, then communication skills. All these we have to develop. So that means curriculum, we are going to make it outcome based. And if you see, then just I will give you the history. If you see the what was our system during Gurukul period, that means in ancient period, you take the example of Gurukul system. You take the example of Nalanda, Takshashila, Vikramshila, and what type of curriculum they are following. If you see the literature, in our literature, ancient literature, in Banabhat's Kadambari, you will find it is talking about 64 columns. 64 columns. It is there in NEP. And when it is talking about 64 columns, what it is? Column means what? Art, we know. Normally we mean singing, dancing, painting, all these visual and performing art. But when, if you go through this document, it is not only performing or visual art. It is talking about discipline knowledge, what we are teaching inside the classroom. That is also coming under the 64 colors. And along with that, we will find vocational and professional knowledge and soft skills. It has 5 components. If you see the ancient literature, it has 5 components. What are the 5 components? That means singing, dancing, painting. That is one. Then another discipline knowledge, it may be chemistry, it may be mathematics, it may be social science, history, what we are teaching to our students. Then third part is vocational, what we look down in our society now. That was an integral part of our education. In 64 college, it has clearly mentioned vocational skills. That is essential nowadays, we feel, and that was there in our ancient culture. Then professional, maybe medicine, maybe engineering. So that should be an integral part. Then soft skills. And when we are preparing our students for interview, we give them some training, personality development program. Why separately? Why can't we integrate with our system? Why it will not be an integral part of our curriculum? Because it was there. These 5 components you'll find in this 64 colors. That is the ancient culture. And what research says? Research says when we integrate this humanities and social science with engineering, technology, science, the learning outcomes develops. You'll find a significant change in learning outcome of the student. It isn't found, but research says. So that means what we have to do. Now time has come, we have to make this interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary approach in our school and higher education system. That is why we have to make our curriculum competency based and outcome based. Outcome based. You see, another thing, because we have come out with many documents. Oh, RT Act, you know, when it was introduced, RT Act, dear students, you might be knowing, 2009, okay. In this RT Act, there is a mention of a learning outcome. You know learning outcome? You know learning outcome, now we are talking about learning outcome. It was mentioned that students will attend the learning outcome. But learning outcome was not defined because our approach was mostly content. Okay. So learning outcome was mentioned in RT Act, but learning outcome was not defined. So we came out with the learning outcome in the year 2017. 2017, NCERT defined learning outcome for the elementary stage. That you will find that in the website. Learning outcome for elementary stage. Then in 18, we came out with the learning outcome for secondary stage. And after developing learning outcome, we conducted this national achievement survey based on the learning outcome. And now NEP is talking about this learning outcome. If you go through this National Curriculum Framework 2023, you will find the first part of this document is talking about aims of education, curricular goal, competencies and learning outcome. That means what does it mean? That means we have to develop the skills and competency among the students, and we have to measure their learning outcome, not their content mastery. We have to see how many of students have attended the desired learning outcome. Whether our students are having age appropriate and stage appropriate skills and competency or not, that we have to assess. So that is why we now time has come, we have to make our curriculum competency. If you see the international document, what is happening in the International Bureau of Education? They are talking about three types of competence. One is intellectual, we all know, intellectual, talking about critical thinking, problem solving ability. Another is social. In 21st century, we cannot live in isolation. Social. We have to live with others. We have to cooperate. We have to help. We have to understand others. And third way, one is character competence. And see, international they are talking about. This was the root of our education system. Root of our is the first. That type of education by which character is formed, then strength of mind is increased, intellect is expanded, then one will be able to stand on his or her own feet. That means vocational was at the end and character was first. So character is, now internationally they are talking about this character competence, integrity, that is most important, what we say and what we do. There should not be any gap. So that means we have to develop these competencies. While designing the curriculum, we have to take into account not only the intellectual ability, but we have to take into account the social and the character competence. So that is why curriculum is going to be competency-based, curriculum is going to be outcome-based. Second one, the pedagogy. What type of pedagogy we are going to follow to transact this curriculum? What approach? NEP is talking about experiential learning that we know in school education. It is talking about art integrated learning, it is talking about sport integrated learning, it is talking about ICT integrated learning, it is talking about inquiry based pedagogy, talking about discussion based pedagogy. And what does it mean? We don't expect our students to be passive listeners. We want them to be active learners. Let them experience, let them observe, let them formulate their own hypothesis, let them verify their own hypothesis, let them construct their own knowledge in their own way. That means what we are doing, we are delivering lecture and with the expectation that our students do not know anything. Their mind is just a blank slate, we have to provide all sort of information. It is not true. Gone are those days. Teacher is not the only source of knowledge. Many sources are there. And that is why now time has come. We have to develop their skills, their competencies. And we have to follow some different type of pedagogy which will put emphasis on process. That is why in NEP you will find it is very interesting. It has been highlighted. What our students are learning, that is important, no doubt about that. But how they are learning. How they are learning, that is more important. What is important for us? How they are learning is related to process. What they are learning is related to product. Because we want to assess what they know, that is the product. Because system is more examination oriented. But how they are learning, how they are participating, how they are sharing their experiences, how they are helping each other, and how they are taking initiative, how they are contributing, how they are performing. So all this we want to observe because what they have learned, what they have acquired, we want to see how they have acquired, we want to see the process. If process is strengthened, then definitely product will be strengthened. Now, since our focus is on product, what we are doing, we are covering the syllabus and we expect the student to give correct answer. If they are unable to comprehend, then they try to get it by heart. That is through memorization. Then acquiring mastery over the content, securing good mark in the exam, that is not going to help them, it is not going to serve the purpose. That is what we have to do. We have to develop their skills and competency. We have to bring about change in our pedagogical approach. We have to encourage them to participate. We have to make them autonomous learners. And we have to facilitate learning. That is change in our role and responsibility. We are facilitators. We are not instructors. We have to create learning situation where students will get the opportunity to create something, to innovate something. And similarly, students will be not passive listeners, they will be active learners. And we have to make them active. Let them, we may give them some project. It may be interdisciplinary, it may be multidisciplinary. We may give them some assignment. Let them work together. And when what help them in developing their communication skills, it will help them to develop their team spirit, belongingness, what they learn through games and sports in the playground, that they can also learn inside the classroom when they will work in a group. That is why we are encouraging group activities. That is most important. And that is why we say this is experiential learning. Under this experiential learning, it may be art integrated. It has two purposes. We can preserve our art, we can preserve our culture. Along with that, when we integrate art with our school subjects, that becomes very interesting. Students enjoy learning. We have conducted some experiments. We have come out with some handbook, and we found that it is very interesting and it is very successful. Students don't leave school, and they enjoy their learning. And when they enjoy their learning, it becomes an integral part of their cognitive structure. It becomes meaningful for them. So that is why we are talking about art integrated learning. We can preserve our culture. Along with that, we can make learning more joyful, more meaningful, and sport integrated. Physical education totally neglected. But in playground, we learn many things from playground: team spirit, self-discipline, belongingness, and talking about developing these skills among the students. So that is the best way to develop. And similarly, ICT integrated, discussion based, inquiry based, all these, that let students participate, more project, more assignment, more collaboration. All these we are talking about so that we can bring about change in our pedagogical approach. Then I will come to the last part, that is assessment. And what type of assessment we are doing, what we are assessing, and what we expect. Since system is product oriented, we want to know to what extent we have been successful in attaining the outcome, learning outcome. Attaining the learning outcome, that means at the end, we want to see to what extent we have been successful in achieving the objectives, what we have formulated in the beginning. That is why we follow the summative assessment. We do the year-end assessment, that we do just to know their performance. And apart from that, we also follow formative assessment in our traditional system. Formative assessment. After 2 months or 3 months, we conduct one test. And what is the purpose of this testing? What is the purpose of this testing? Purpose of this testing is to give feedback to the students, to give remedial measures to our students, so that they can acquire mastery over the content, secure good mark in exam. With that purpose, we conduct. We are familiar with these two types of tests in our traditional teaching learning process. But when we are talking about this NEP, NEP is talking about involving students in the process of assessment. Do you know that? Do you want to be involved in the process of assessment? Are you happy? Yes? Why? Why you want to be involved? There must be some logic. Why? Why you want to be involved in the process of assessment? Yes? Any idea? Okay, I will tell you. See, what has been recommended? It has been recommended. Now we have to involve our students in the process of assessment. And we have to make assessment continuous. 3 modes of assessment it is talking about. Assessment of learning, that is summative assessment we are familiar with. Assessment for learning, that is formative assessment, that what we are doing traditionally. But another is that term NEP is using, that is assessment as learning. Assessment as learning. What does it mean? What do you mean by this? Assessment as learning. When we say assessment as learning, that means student will get opportunity to reflect on their own learning. When we inform our students at the end, there is no scope for improvement, summative assessment. But in formative assessment, there is some scope. But what we are doing, we are informing them after 3 months. Question is, why they will wait for 3 months to get feedback from the teacher? Why not immediately? Because you know 2 types of learning theory. One is behavioristic, another is constructivist. Behavioristic, that is the traditional learning theory, which is product oriented. And in behavioristic model, this assessment is separate from teaching learning. Assessment is separate from teaching. It is not integrated with teaching learning. That is why you do at the end. or we do in between just to monitor learning, to give feedback or give remedial measure. But when we are talking of this constructivist approach, constructivist learning on which our national curriculum framework 2005 is based on, and NEP 2020 is talking about that. And there, now this is the modern learning theory. Here, assessment is not separate from teaching learning. That is why it has been recommended it should be continuous. And students should be involved in the process so that they themselves can assess their own performance. And their friends can assess their own performance. That is why it is talking about self-assessment. It is talking about peer assessment. And it is talking about assessment by the teacher. Assessment by the teacher is there, will be there, no doubt about that. Along with that, there will be self-assessment. There will be peer assessment. Let students assess their own performance. Let students be assessed by their friends, peer group. And they are being assessed by the teacher and they will be assessed by the teacher, no doubt about that. So that assessment process will be more transparent. And students will know about the criteria, how they are going to be assessed. That is most important. Then, and when you are talking about holistic development of the personality, if we will not assess all the dimensions of the personality, then nobody will bother for that. If really we want a change in the system, then we have to first bring about change in the process of assessment. If we will not bring out, we will design curriculum keeping in view the recommendation of NEP and introduce new pedagogy keeping in view the recommendation, but will not bring about change in the process of assessment, then nothing will happen. Nothing will happen if we ask the question the way we are asking now, then there will be no change.